This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network and the X-Zone Broadcast Network, and our growing family of broadcast affiliates right across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, Australia, Asia, India, Africa, and Europe. If you'd like to give us a call, our toll-free worldwide number is 1-800-610-7035. That's 1-800-610-7035. Our email address, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. That's www.xzoneradiotv.com. The March edition of the X Chronicles newspaper was released today for members of the public as well as the X-Zone Nation. Now, if you'd like to get your complimentary copy of the X Chronicles newspaper, which is the print media newspaper of the X-Zone Radio Show that was actually in print before the show went to air, going back to 1991, I think. Wow. Just send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and I will send you a link, and you'll be able to read the X Chronicles newspaper on Scribd. That's xzone@xzoneradiotv.com if you'd like to get a copy, a complimentary copy of the X Chronicles newspaper. My guest this hour is Melissa Bacelar. She is an accomplished film actress, animal advocate, and pet psychic. She is often asked by members of the media and the public how she made the transition from the cover of men's magazines to picking up dog poop. Well, this is just part of her charm. Melissa has always been an animal lover and a psychic fanatic. She never thought she would actually be a pet psychic, even though she was told by 3 different credible psychics from the year 2008 to 2009 that she was one and would play a significant role in her life down the line. This is where her journey begins, and this is where our hour begins with Melissa. And Melissa, welcome to the X-Zone.
Well, thank you very much. Hi, everyone.
All right, I have to ask you, how did you do it from the cover of men's magazines to picking up dog poop?
You know, it's really funny because I've actually given that question a lot of thought over the past year. And I think I know I've always been a psychic. I just use my psychic ability to help me with my career as an actress and a model, to help me with my business endeavors. I never really thought about the fact that I was a psychic. I just thought I was a really good judge of character. I was good at picking the right projects, things like that. And I've always been obsessed with psychics. Like you said, I've always had 5 or 6 on speed dial that I would talk to. And I've always been obsessed with animals. And again, when I would know things about people's animals, I just thought I knew dogs really well. You know, I have 8 of my own dogs. I work with 5 or 6 different rescue groups, so I'm constantly around rescue dogs with issues. And that was it. I just thought, I know them. I get it. And I just, one day, a really good friend of mine asked me to be on a radio show as a horror actress. I do a lot of horror movies. And I thought, oh, yeah, okay, cool. I do a lot of radio shows. We talk about the horror movies. That's great. Mm-hmm. And as I was listening, as I was to you, I was listening to myself being introduced, the woman said, pet psychic. And I thought, I'm not a pet psychic. What is she talking about? This is, oh, my God, do I hang up? Like, I started getting, really sweaty and nervous. And I'm like, oh, my God. So, usually the hardest question I ever get is, do I do nudity? I mean, pet psychic? No,
Well,
so
that would have been the first.
And she says to me, I'm sorry?
That would have been the first question I would have asked.
The nudity question, exactly. So, the woman comes on, the host comes on, and I said, "Oh, I don't know where you got the information, but I heard you call me a pet psychic."
All right, we're going to have to do a bit of a cliffhanger here. I've got to take our first 2-minute break. Melissa Bacelar is our special guest. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone continues live and around the world from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network and X Zone Broadcast Network. Don't go away.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Shamanism is recognized as a method to access the quantum level. Mastery of shamanic skills puts spiritual information and healing power into your hands. Path Home Shamanic Art School, a bonded Colorado certified occupational school, has met rigorous state standards, ensuring its director and instructors have the qualifications to teach the shamanic arts. Path Home offers its certification program in blocks of study. Block 1, a 5-day intensive, will be held in the beautiful mountain town of Coaldale, Colorado, October 13th through 18th. Registration deadline is September 12th. Experience journey trance, power animals, helping spirits, sacred space, and life purpose. Come discover your power. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magical world of shamanism. Call 303-775-3431 or visit findyourpathhome.com.
With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. All right, Exonation, Melissa Bacelar is our special guest. She is a pet psychic, And her website is www.celebritypetcommunicator.com. And when we last left our guest, she was just telling us how she was on another talk show The host was just doing the intro and introduced her as a pet psychic. And it seems like she threw you back when she said that, because you were expecting the normal question about being nude.
Exactly. You know, the new thing I got, but the pet psychic, I was like, wait a minute here. I should tell you that the person who got me on the show is one of my best friends, and she is a psychic, and that's why she did this to me. She knew I would never get off my butt and say that I was actually a pet psychic, and she knew if she kind of threw me under the bus, so to speak, I would have no choice. And I told the host, I said, look, I'm not a pet psychic. I heard you call me that. The host ignored me.
Yeah, we do that at times.
He said, okay, we have our first caller. And this woman gets on the phone, and she starts talking about her dog that had passed. And as soon as she said it, I started getting all these thoughts in my head, but I thought, oh, my God, should I hang up? I can't do this. This is embarrassing. And I went, wait a minute, Melissa, you're an actress. You can do it, you know. And I just started saying whatever kind of came to mind, and sure enough, I was right. I knew where the dog was. I knew when the dog had passed. I knew how the dog passed. I knew what type of dog it was. Well, the woman happened to be on vacation when the dog had passed, and I asked her, I said, you were away? Did you feel guilty? And everything I was saying was right, and the whole hour was readings. And one after another, I read people's animals, and for the most part, I was right on. And I got off the phone with the host and called my friend, and I was like, why did you do that? She had listened, and she said, you were great, Melissa. You got everything right. And I said, no, that was a fluke. I still didn't believe her. And it took a couple more things like that to make me realize that, in fact, I am a pet psychic. Animals do come and talk to me all the time. I actually now, when I go to sleep, I have ghost cats and ghost dogs tapping me on the head, and their owners will contact me the next day. I mean, it's just been an insane journey.
All right, so let me just do a bit of a recap here. You get ghost dogs and ghost cats tapping you on the head every night, and the owners call you the next day.
Yes, believe me. I am not, like I said, I like psychics. I've always gone to psychics.
Sure.
I had a hard time saying this to people. This is what I do. I lay in bed and your cat or dog comes to me, but I was in a production meeting because I am still an actress and a model and I do these other things. I was in a production meeting the other day with executives from a big TV studio, and we're sitting around the table, and this little being was literally over my head, and I kept feeling a paw on my head, and I'm looking around the table, and I'm like, okay, somebody's dog is here. Somebody's dog really needs to talk to them, and I couldn't figure out who it was. And it's getting towards the end of the meeting, and this dog is literally smacking me, like psychically smacking me in the head, like, you better say something. So finally I look over, and I realize the executive's assistant was sort of sitting next to him and taking notes. And I thought, that it's her dog. So I said, I'm sorry. Her name was Trish. I said, Trish, do you have a Shih Tzu or a small dog that doesn't live with you anymore? And she started crying, and no words came out of the girl's mouth. The girl just got into tears and looked at me, and she goes, oh, my God, I had to give my dog to my parents because I worked too long of hours, and I just miss him. And in any case, I was like, yeah, he's coming to me. I know it sounds weird, but he misses you as well, but he knows it's for the best. And I ended up giving her a reading on her dog. But I do other things, too. Yesterday, I spent my day at an animal sanctuary called the Gentle Barn, and they take in farm animals that were going to be eaten, and they bring them in and kind of make them, live a great life on their sanctuary. So I was there yesterday working with some of the animals that had really bad trauma happen to them, and it's just a gift that I'm so excited that I'm actually taking hold of it now and doing this, because it's made my life so much better, and I get to work with animals every day, which is really what I've always wanted to do anyway.
So can we say that yesterday you were at a hospice for animals?
Yeah, you could say that. It's just a wonderful place called Gentle Barn, and they take in animals that have been either abused or in slaughterhouses. all different kinds of things. The sheep that I was working with yesterday was actually born in a school where they teach people to be vets, and the mom had 2 males, and they castrate them without any anesthesia or anything to show the vet students how to do it, which
Ouch.
to me just sounds, right?
I'm cringing
cool
right now.
Horrible.
I am cringing.
It's like a horror movie, so it's, no different. I mean, it's just really awful that this is what they do, and I don't really understand the necessity of that, but this is what they do at the school. So they castrated this poor little lamb, and for whatever reason, his brother was going to be kept to be a stud, and his mom was going to be kept to keep breeding, and they didn't want him. So after castrating him and humiliating him and putting him through torture, they were going to give him to a slaughterhouse. So the Gentle Barn stepped in. I guess one of the students had called them and begged to take him. They said fine. He wasn't weaned when they took him yet, but they would not let him stay with the mom. He needed to be out immediately. So now he's at their facility, and he's just having a really hard time because obviously he's been through a lot of emotional stress, and he misses his mother, and he doesn't understand why these people abducted him basically from his mom, and humans have only been really awful to him. So I worked with him yesterday, and I got him to eat out of my hand, and he's really coming along. He started playing with a ball and playing with some of the other sheep that are at the Gentle Barn, and eventually he will be there and be able to, they have inner city children and come in, and different groups come in and learn about farm animals. So he'll actually get to play with the kids eventually when he's ready. So that was kind of cool.
So the production meeting you were in the other day, where the production assistant or one of the assistants to one of the executives was taking notes, and it was her dog. Had her dog passed to the other side, or were you just getting the psychic impression from the dog at the parents' house?
So I think, to be honest with you, with that situation, I think I was picking up on her, and her dog and her are so connected. It's energy. Sure. This is all energy. So, and dogs are actually, dogs and different animals, their frequency is a little bit more opened than most human beings because they don't really question it. They don't question talking to people energetically. So I think I was probably picking up on her. And then the dog came through because the dog is so connected with her and decided, oh, great, I have this person sitting here who can actually hear me and is willing to hear me and willing to give messages to my mom, basically. Because her dog is well and alive and very happy. So it was really interesting. I do have animals that passed come to me as well, but that particular one was alive.
How do these animals who passed know how to find you, or how do they know that you're able to communicate with them?
What I think happens, because like I said, a lot of times I had this cat coming to me for a week. I have 8 dogs. I don't have any cats in my house. And I'd be putting on my makeup or brushing my teeth or whatever, and I would actually feel a cat walking through my legs. And that was the first time it had happened. And I kind of was like, whoa, what's this? What am I feeling here? Yeah. And it kept happening for a few days. And what I found out when the woman had called me was she had seen an article that I wrote, and the article was on her desk, and she had kept reading it and kept saying, oh, I'm going to call this woman, but she didn't yet. So I believe what happens is the animals are picking up on their humans picking up on me, and that's how they find me. They find me through their human beings, because literally this cat kept coming to me. I had no idea why the cat was coming to me until she called, and she described the cat, and I'm like, oh, okay, your cat's been coming to me, and that freaked her out. But he had been. So that's what I think it is. I think it's really through their humans that they're finding me. Their humans hear of me or something, because I've never had an animal come to me and make me find their humans. They'll come to me, and then their humans will find me.
Okay. What's the strangest animal you've ever worked with?
Oh, my gosh. I worked, and I don't know why this is that strange, because lots of people have them as pets, but to me it was really strange. I had somebody call me up. Actually, there's 2. I had somebody call me up and ask me if I could help them with their turtle. And I thought, oh, because I've just not had a lot of experience with turtles. So I kind of was taken aback for a second. I said, well, could you send me a picture? They have a desert tortoise that's about 180 pounds. This huge
Holy cow.
tortoise. Unbelievable. And I thought, well, gosh, everything has energy, so yeah, I guess I could. And they just wanted to know, he had stopped eating, and they wanted to know why, if he didn't like his food or what was going on with him.
Mm-hmm.
And that I found really strange because, like I said, I had never worked with turtles before, but he was awesome. Awesome. I mean, think about it. This animal can live on this planet for over 200 years. This particular turtle was like 90 and had been passed from generation to generation. So he wasn't eating just because, I mean, he literally was like, oh, I'm just not hungry. He didn't like the lettuce that they were giving him. They had changed it from a dark green lettuce to like an iceberg lettuce. But he really wanted to talk to everybody because he knew grandparents and great-grandparents and fathers and mothers of the family that had him. They just kept passing them on generation to generation. So he was fascinating. I mean, you don't often get to speak to an animal who's been on the planet for that long. So that was kind of cool.
All right, Melissa, please stand by. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. X-Zone Nation, Melissa Bacelar is our special guest. www.celebritypetcommunicator.com. That's celebritypetcommunicator.com. We'll be back on the other side of this news break as the X-Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and Talkstar.
It was a terrifying experience.
I thought we was going to go to jail for murder.
That day, we were a little behind, so we worked until it was starting to get dark.
We loaded up the equipment and hadn't driven very far when we caught glimmers of this glow coming through the trees. I urged Mike to hurry up and get up there.
Travis had the door open before we even stopped. As he got closer, I heard the sound.
One of the guys said, "You feel that?"
I really panicked then.
I told him, "Get the hell out of here."
It didn't come directly to me, it came to a deputy sheriff. Three of us volunteered right away to tell him what had happened.
Sheriff Gillespie definitely didn't believe it.
He says that we better be certain because we can get in a lot of trouble.
When we went to search the next day, they split us up, and the whole time the deputies asked me, if you just tell us where the body is, we can all go home and get this over with.
We're talking about 100 people combing through the wooded area. Nothing turns up.
All week long, I've been hearing they're going to set it up to make you guys look guilty.
We're a rough-looking bunch then. Some of us have been in trouble with the law before.
And y'all ain't never going to come out of that jailhouse.
We couldn't get out.
I tried to sneak out the back door the day of the polygraph test. I was scared to death.
On top of that, you have media.
I literally would be on 2 telephones at the same time.
We've even got some coops in here now that's coming in and out to see the freak show, as they call it.
Everyone descends.
I just wasn't going to stand there and listen to it anymore.
Granny says, "This is Travis. I'm back. I need help." When I did hear that he had been returned, it was almost as unbelievable as the original thing.
I just looked at my mom and says, "I told you we didn't kill him."
Travis Walton reappeared after several days with a bizarre story about a ride in an unidentified flying object.
People were desperate to explain it away.
Why are you sticking up for Travis for all this time? You know this really didn't happen.
What happened to Travis after we took off in that truck, I can't tell you.
I hated Travis for a long time after this. My whole world just tore up.
But I believe every word Travis said about it. He's never lied to me about nothing.
It's a net negative. We lost our jobs in the immediate aftermath.
And now you're not able to talk about it with anyone because you know that they're going to laugh at you, they're going to look at you like you're crazy.
But if you don't come out and tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it for you.
There's a degree of responsibility. Certainly I have to accept the bad. If I can direct what's happened in a way that I can make something good happen in the world, I'm looking for it.
Order your copy of Travis, The True Story of Travis Walton, today at www.traviswaltonthemovie.com.
Did Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and you're listening to us live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network and the X-Zone Broadcast Network. If you'd like to give us a call, toll-free worldwide, 1-800-610-7035. That's 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, you can always chat with us here at the X-Zone Studios, no matter what day or time it is, by using the MSN address xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. And once again, if you'd like to get yourself a complimentary copy of the March edition of the X Chronicles newspaper, send me an email and say, "Hey Rob, could you please send me the link?" I will send you the link. You'll be able to read it on script, as well as the past, I think it's 6 or 7 years worth of the X Chronicles, all with our compliments. Once again, my email address, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. We're talking to a celebrity pet communicator this hour, X-Zone Nation. Melissa Bacelar. Bacelar is our special guest, and her website is celebritypetcommunicator.com. And before we left, we were talking about a 118-year-old turtle. 118, was that right?
He was actually about 100. Yeah, he was up there. So yeah, that was a great, interesting animal that I talked to, just because of his life experience and all the different family members that he had been with, and he was really cool. Another interesting animal that somebody had called me about that I didn't know I was going to be able to help them with, they had raccoons in their attic. Mm-hmm. And they wanted them out. And they called me for that. And I thought that was kind of interesting, because normally people call me about pets. And even when people call me about their pets, I have to explain to them, I'm a communicator. I'm not a trainer. I communicate with them psychically. I can see things that might occur in their future, or in their owner's future with them. But to ask raccoons to get out of his attic, I really didn't know how well that was going to go over.
And how did it go over?
Well, I explained to them that, and the funny thing is the people were really cute. They were like, we have a shed. If they could live in there, that would be great. It's just when they walk through our attic at night, it makes our dogs bark, and then we can't sleep. So that was really their only complaint about the raccoons in their attic. So I connected with them, and I explained to them that, it was unsafe and unsanitary, and it was making it really uncomfortable for them to sleep because the dogs were barking, which of course the raccoons thought was really funny because they knew the dogs couldn't get to them. And I asked them if they would move to the shed, and they just didn't quite understand what I was showing them. Mm-hmm. So what we did together was we started putting different foods and waters in the shed and actually making it comfortable for them. And they did actually transition them into their shed. It did take a while. It wasn't like I magically said to them, hey, can you move into the shed? And they packed their bags and walked down to the shed. But we did get them out of the attic without harming them, which was kind of a good thing.
So this could be a new show for A&E called Psychic Verminator.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And we won't hurt any of the animals, which will be really great.
What do the animals think about people in general? I'm sure you've had conversations with animals who just want to get it off their chest, what they think about humans. Oh, yeah. What do animals basically think about us?
It depends on the animal. I communicate a lot with dogs and cats, obviously, because that's generally what people have as pets. And I also communicate with a lot of animals that have come from very abusive situations. Animals aren't like us. They're not judgmental. They're not, they don't worry about things like what we do or what we look like or different things like that. The more spoiled animals do have jealousy issues, and a lot of times they won't like new boyfriends or girlfriends or new people coming into the house. But that's more because, they're jealous rather than than anything else. A lot of animals also that I speak to really have lost faith in humanity just because they've been so badly ignored or abused, mistreated, but they can regain it. They usually want to regain trust. That's mostly what I get. Most of the people that call me for readings really love their animals, and their animals just think they're amazing. I mean, almost every dog you speak to will tell you how gorgeous their owner is, how people think they're gorgeous and their owner's gorgeous, and everybody looks at them. I mean, that's almost something unanimously with spoiled dogs that they'll tell me. And they generally think people are great. They think they're here really to amuse us and to, enjoy us as much as we enjoy them. So they like most things about humans as long as they haven't been abused.
Do most animals have weird sense of humors? Are they practical jokers?
A lot of them are. Yeah. Absolutely. They think they're hysterical. They really. This is something that when I write my columns, I write for a couple different magazines, and I think that if more people realized how human the feelings and the things that these animals do, they're really very human in the way that they do joke with us and do things on purpose. You know, I can't tell you how many people will be like, they grab my shoes, but they don't chew them. Or, you know, they always will take my socks when I take them off. I mean, these are things that dogs do because they think it's funny. They know it gets a rise out of you. They know it gets your attention. They know when you think they're cute. They know the looks that are going to get your attention. They know how to get away with things. I mean, they really think a lot like we do. But it's insane. Yeah, they do. They're very human.
When you work with animals in shelters, how do you, how do you put yourself into a position where you protect yourself from the horror stories that you're going to be hearing from our little friends that end up in shelters, whether they're abused or like that little lamb? How do you buffer yourself?
It's awful. It's awful. I'm still learning how to deal with that. I think that it's something I would think with any psychic, no matter who you talk to. I mean, dealing with people's pain or animals' pain is awful. You know, a lot of times they just the physical pain, like the lamb, for example. You know, he was obviously in a lot of physical pain. He was castrated and he was ripped away from his mom. But the emotional pain is what gets me. They don't understand. They don't understand. They're living in a state of confusion because even though I can communicate with them, it's not the way you and I are communicating. Most animals don't. Some of them do, but most of them don't talk the way we talk. They just show me emotions and feelings and visuals, and they don't get why they've been through what they've been through. They just, because they're completely trusting. They're all love. And for me, like yesterday, for example, when I walked onto the property where I was going to work with the lamb, and the owner of the property started telling me what happened to this lamb, my heart, my chest, I mean, I physically, not even realizing that I was doing it, I started breathing like just having an anxiety attack, and I was in so much emotional pain and anguish, and my heart just sank, my stomach flipped. I mean, this poor lamb, the way that he felt was just abandoned and heartbroken, and it was horrible, you know. And then when I actually got to communicate with him and talk to him and let him know that things would be better and get him through that pain a little bit, that's what made me walk away from the day going, okay, you know, he did go through this, but he's going to be fine. And psychically, I saw that the outcome for him was going to be amazing. I mean, how many lambs are born at that facility that don't get the opportunity that he's getting? He's going to get to play with kids and other lambs for the rest of his life and live out his life in its entirety in a happy, wonderful environment with tons of love. When I walk into a shelter, something I've learned recently, which has helped me a lot, some animals are ready to go.
Really? Yeah.
When they're in the shelter, they really are. You know, they're just so heartbroken that they're just ready to go. And I know once they do go, they'll just be in a better place. Unfortunately, especially I live in California, which is one of the, most people think Los Angeles, oh, people love their animals. People do love their animals, but people also mistreat their animals horribly. And they drop their animals off in the shelters, which are all kill shelters. So when I walk into a shelter, I just, it's devastating for me. I mean, I really, the emotions and the feeling of abandonment, and it's overwhelming. I help the ones that I can, the ones that want help. Sometimes I know certain animals are going to be taken out and they really don't want to be, and I try to work with them so that they can get past the depression and have a nice life. You people don't understand when animals lose their human beings, because that's a lot of the cases in the shelter. A lot of times people will get a dog or a cat and they pass away. Whether and they're not always old and pass away. Sometimes they have different diseases. They get in car accidents, whatever it may be. All of a sudden, this spoiled, loved animal is in a shelter. They smell fear. They smell death. They don't understand where their person is. They're mourning. They're depressed. They have no will to live, just as we would if we lost a loved one. You know, a lot of times human beings go through the same thing. It's the same emotional roller coaster. those are the animals that I really try to work with, because they are adoptable and they can have a great life if they can just get past the mourning period. So, every case is different.
I was the director of communications for the SPCA up here in Canada, in Hamilton, Burlington, for a while. And I have to give my hats off to everyone who works in a shelter, whether they're a paid employee, whether they're a volunteer. And you know what? The unsung heroes of law enforcement are the people who work in enforcing animal protection laws.
Yep.
And
you're
hats
absolutely
off
right.
to them. Hats off.
It's not something that's easy. It's not something that there are regulations, but it's so easy for people to get away with abusing animals and hoarding animals and all of these horrible things and abandoning animals. I've been at the shelter when people are turning in an 8 or 9 year old dog because they got a puppy.
Yeah.
I mean, how disgusting is that? It's just really awful. People make themselves think it's okay to give up an animal for all different kinds of reasons. And I've had conversations with people, and I tell them, the dog is going to be put down. No, you're exaggerating. They don't think that dogs get put down at the shelters. Healthy, amazing, adoptable dogs. They don't think that happens. And it does every day. Puppies, kittens, healthy, great animals get put down because they don't have a home.
That's right. And what people do is they don't think before they buy animals, whether it's a goldfish, whether it's a hamster. We're coming to Easter, and how many pet stores are going to be selling Easter bunnies to people, and they're going to be returned or left go in the fields within weeks. People, for goodness sake, no matter where you are listening to this show around the world, before you buy a pet, before you bring a pet into your family, think. If you live in an apartment, do you really need a St. Bernard? If just think. With the ownership of an animal comes a great responsibility. And if you do not have the financial means to take care of the animal's care, the animal's food, the animal's veterinarian bills, if you're not going to be able to give the animal the proper exercise it deserves, and if you're not going to be able to treat the animal as a member of your family, you do not need one. Visit your local shelter. They'll let you pet an animal. But for God's sake,
take volunteer your time.
Exactly.
You can take dogs for walks. You can take rabbits out, and all of these things are fine at your shelter.
Exactly.
But to bring an animal into your house is a huge, huge responsibility. They need more than just food and water.
They certainly do. You and I have to take a commercial break, Melissa.
All
Please
right.
stand by. Listen, I love what you do, and like I said, hats off to you for working with shelters. They're a great bunch of people, and they are sincerely appreciated by more people than they know. So if you're working in a shelter, if you're an inspector with the animal police or law enforcement agencies that deal with animals, God bless each and every one of you. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue with our very special guest this hour. Her name is Melissa Bacelar. Her website is celebritypetcommunicator.com. Don't go away. We'll be back right after this news break. No. It's no news break. We'll just be back after this break.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right. Transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
Did Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who would like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. And welcome back, everyone. Melissa Bacelar is our special guest. Her website is celebritypetcommunicator.com. That's www.celebritypetcommunicator.com. And first of all, Melissa, I want to thank you so much for being with us this hour. It's been a great pleasure talking to you, and time has just flown right by. But I'd also like to commend you on what you do with pet stores that you find out who sell puppy mill pups. That is just fascinating. Tell our listeners.
Well, it's a huge movement that Best Friends organization started up, and so many pet stores all over the place are selling dogs from puppy mills, and it's just awful. Puppy mills produce sick dogs. They keep them in horrible conditions, and dogs are getting killed in the shelter, so it makes no sense. We protest against the pet stores here in Los Angeles that sell puppy mill dogs, and we've actually had quite a lot of success. About 9 of them have converted into being humane stores, and now they're getting their dogs and their puppies from the shelters. And instead of selling puppy mill dogs, they're selling shelter dogs and adopting them out. So they're actually helping the problem.
Bravo.
So
Bravo.
It's pretty cool.
Bravo. Hats off. God bless you for that. A number of the pet stores up here in Canada, the major chains, are also working with the local humane societies and shelters, bringing animals in on certain days with the members of the shelters or the humane society to match people with animals. And you know what? I know for a fact that the Hamilton Burlington SPCA will just not sell an animal over the counter. They actually check the place out. So, you know, there are organizations that really are making a difference. And there are people like you, my dear, who are helping it. So thanks very much for being there.
Well, thank you.
Now, where are you going to be in the future? What are you going to be doing in the future? And how can people find out more about the great things you do?
Well, everything is always on my website, of course, all my appearances. And I write for 2 dog magazines. One is called The American Dog Magazine, and the other is a local paper here, which is WeHo News. But it's online, so anybody could see it. It's wehonews.com. And I always do readings, of course. Anybody can contact me. 100% of the money I make doing readings, I donate to animal charities. I'm lucky enough to make a living as an actress and a model, and so all of my animal communication stuff goes right to all the homeless animals that need help. So that's something you can feel good about when you get a reading from me.
All right, so go ahead and plug your website one more time.
All right, it's celebritypetcommunicator.com.
Melissa, thanks very much for joining us. It's been a great pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to talking to you the next time you join us here in the X Zone.
Absolutely. I would love to come back anytime. Thank you so much.
My great pleasure. Once again, X Zone Nation,
All right.
Melissa Bacelar has been our guest this hour. Her website is www.celebritypetcommunicator.com. That's www.celebritypetcommunicator.com. Once again, please be a responsible pet owner. If you cannot justify, or if you're thinking about buying an animal, think before you actually make that purchase, and go to your local shelter or the SPCA. There's plenty of beautiful animals who need good homes. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone continues live and around the world from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away, I'll be back.